Okay, I will at this time be called a roll. Senator Stevens.
Here.
Senator Bull.
Here.
Senator Mercedes. Senator Vashikidze. Senator Vo.
Here.
I am here. Senator Piscatelli. Senator Underwood. Senator Morris.
Here.
Senator Addy.
Here.
Senator Vernon. Senator Troutman. Senator Krepok.
Here.
Senator Bass. Senator Robbins. Senator Freeland. Senator Guilano. Let's see. Accounting for suspensions, a quorum is present. We will proceed with our business for today. The first item, or first thing on our agenda, is any public comment. At this time, is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll proceed into our business for today. The first item of legislation in USV 104-111. This was heard at our last meeting, but I asked for the bill to be postponed until this week as its companion legislation 112 needed some revisions. So I can, I will just go over some of the brief highlights and then we'll begin discussion. Basically, it just fully updates all the regulations on the executive branch, makes the executive board a real thing, defines the cabinet, defines what the executive office of the president and like officer staff look like. It does tweak the order of succession slightly at the request of the president. So now the chief of staff is higher in the order of succession than the treasurer. Puts some regulations on the transition process and updates the duties and responsibilities of the executive officers since those haven't been changed in about a decade. And just brings back the code required cabinet departments that were eliminated by Senator Richards at the end of the 102nd Senate. That's basically all the major changes. If there are any specific questions on this bill, I will entertain them at this time. So are there any questions on USB 104-111? If there are no questions, is there a motion?
Motion to enter discussion. Second.
All right, we are now in discussion. Are there any points of discussion? If there are no points of discussion, is there a motion?
I move to enter voting procedure.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we are now in voting procedure. Is there a motion to report this legislation?
Motion to report you favorably.
Motion to report by unanimous.
Second.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, there are two motions on the floor, one to appoint by unanimous consent and one to report by roll call vote. Is the roll call vote withdrawn?
Yes.
All right. Was there a second for unanimous consent? Or no, there is, sorry, we don't need any seconds for unanimous consent. Hearing, if there is no objection, then the USB 104-111 will be reported by unanimous consent. Hearing no objection, the legislation will be reported by unanimous consent. We will now move to consideration of USB 104-112. This is the companion bill to 111. I am going to highlight the changes that were made based on discussions with the honor system. The changes that were made were as follows. Basically, the judicial branch annual report. Oh wait, did it not save my changes? Oh, I know what happened. Okay. I updated it on my personal copy and not on the copy that is in the drive. So if you give me 1 second, I will transfer those changes to this version of the document. Okay. Just one moment. Sorry about that. That is my bad. So pretty much the changes that were made from the last meeting are mainly just done to the judicial branch report. So what will happen is the judicial branch report will be compiled by the undergraduate chief legal officer, instead of the current requirement that is compiled by the honor court chair. The report will also be subdivided into 3 sections: the honor system report, which will be compiled mainly by the honor system, the report of the Office of Legal Counsel, and the report of the Office of the Undergraduate Solicitor General. This is so that the report reflects the work done by the entire undergraduate judicial branch, not just the honor system. And other than that, just makes just loosen some of the requirements on what the report expected from people. So if there are any questions at this time, I will take them. And if there are no questions, I will hear a motion.
Motion to report favorably by unanimous consent.
Seconded.
Would you be willing, can you please amend that to a motion to suspend the rules and report favorably?
Yes, I move to suspend all necessary rules and pass this with unanimous consent. Favorably.
Let's see, can I hear?
Seconded.
Hearing no objections, this bill will be reported favorably by unanimous consent. We will move to the next item on the agenda, USB 104-154, 154, the SFAC Statutory Correction Act. This one was written in coordination with the undergraduate treasurer. For those who don't know, SFAC is an independent agency of student government whose job it is to audit the expenditure of the student fees. And the regulations on SFAC haven't been updated since 2016. And since then, the entire financial system has changed. We got rid of SAFO and replaced it with CUSO. And that's a whole discussion that I'm willing to have with people later, but I don't want to spend 20 minutes explaining the whole process in the committee. So basically what this bill does is update a lot of the references from SAFO to CUSO, and gets rid of language that is dead letter. We don't have oversight over CUSO, unfortunately. And also updates some of the graduate representation on SBAC to reflect how their government has changed, and also makes that graduates and undergrads have equal membership on SBAC. This is important because SBAC equally audits grads and undergrads, and they're supposed to share the workload. And also just makes it clear that SBAC is subject to public meetings law. So at this time, I will take any questions.
A motion to remove all necessary rules and pass favorably with unanimous consent.
Second. Objection.
Okay, I hear an objection. Do you withdraw your motion?
I do.
Okay. So we are in
Okay.
question and answer. We are in question and answer.
Okay. I'd like to suspend unnecessary rules in order to adopt this resolution without prejudice by unanimous consent.
Seconded.
Okay. Hearing no objections, this will be reported without prejudice. We will now move on to our next item of legislation. USR 104-155, a resolution to confirm a deputy student attorney general. I believe the attorney general and the nominee are both present. If they would like to make any introductory remarks, please feel free.
Hi, yeah. So hello again. I've sat in front of this committee a couple of times. I just want to take a second to introduce my nominee for the position of Deputy Student Attorney General, Nikita Joshi. Nikita has been a member of the honor system since our freshman year back in 2019. Although she and I did not start working closely together until last year when she became a case manager, her reputation as a kind but steadfast counsel preceded her. Over the past year, Nikita has acted in many informal roles and taken on her fair share of formal ones too. She stepped in as the honor system treasurer for the system when we were in a pinch this summer, managed some of the most complex situations that I've ever seen come through this system, and worked to ensure that our recruitment process this fall went smoothly by working very closely with the outreach coordinator, Jesus Enriquez. However, her formal work is admittedly outshone by her informal work, in my opinion. Her humor and good nature gets our leadership team through 3 or 4 hour long meetings at 10 p.m. on school nights. Her grace and wisdom comforts our new counsels who come to her for help, and her strength and resolve to uphold our system influences all of us to be better, not only as members of the Attorney General staff, but as people. I'm extremely proud and excited to nominate Nikita Joshi to this position. I know that she will impress all of you here tonight just as much as she had done to me. Thank you so much, and I would like to turn the floor over to her.
Thank you, Vanessa, for those kind words, and good evening, everyone. My name is Nikita Joshi, and I'm delighted to be here today as a nominee for the position of Deputy Student Attorney General as part of the Undergraduate Student Attorney General staff. As Vanessa mentioned, I've been a part of the Attorney General staff since my freshman year and have truly enjoyed my time. As a counsel, I had the opportunity to represent and advocate for both students and reporting parties. In the fall 2021 semester, I became a case manager and took on a greater role in managing cases and giving help to newer counsels to effectively advocate for their respective parties and broadly support all of staff as a member of leadership. Over the past 3 years, I've learned the importance as well as the responsibility of having a student-run honor system. As a Deputy Student Attorney General, I hope to continue ensuring that we retain a fair and equitable process for all members of our campus community who may partake in an honor system case, and to continue supporting our AG and her staff in fulfilling our duties. Lastly, I just want to take a minute to thank all of the members of the Attorney General staff who have been an incredible group of people to work with and who have genuinely become some of my greatest friends. I especially want to thank Vanessa for not only being a wonderful mentor and an amazing leader in the system, but also a genuine friend throughout this time. I want to thank all of you for your time and consideration, and I look forward to any questions any of you may have for me. Thank you.
All right, at this time, does anyone have any questions? If not, I will ask a couple. Okay, so why don't you start by telling us a little bit about what made you interested in the Attorney General staff and why you're interested in this position specifically?
Yeah, of course. So I joined my freshman year. I had learned about the honor system actually through my older sister, who was part of the honor court. And I was always really interested in giving back to our campus community, and this was a very unique way of doing so. I think that having a student-run honor system is incredibly important because it's peers deciding these important decisions, whether a student has violated the honors code or not. So I thought that it was a very interesting way to kind of partake in the campus community. Additionally, as being part of the Deputy Student Attorney General, I think this position specifically was very interesting to me because over the past year as a case manager, managing cases, getting to understand the different types of charges that are within the instrument, learning more about how we handle cases and how cases come through, and kind of being part of that closer team with Vanessa in whether we're reaching reasonable basis, and the university and managing university interest with regards to charging students, I think was something that was really interesting to me, but also making sure that this is a fair and equitable process and that we have a respectful community of equitability throughout this process. So that's kind of why I was interested.
Okay, Senator Vernon, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you so much for your answers so far. I'm just curious, do you have any other obligations that may affect your ability to put time into this role?
No, I don't. I, of course, participate in a few other clubs on campus, but I have been a part of the honor system for 3 years, as I said before, and dedicated numerous hours, and I'm more than happy and more than willing to dedicate the hours that it takes into participating in this role, as I have done and will continue to do.
I would also like to clarify, if I'm not sure if I have to be recognized. Gary is interested.
You're already recognized.
Okay, great. The time commitment that changes between how much time case managers and deputy student attorney generals spend working in the honor system, although it can be a rather drastic change. Nikita has been working extraordinarily hard throughout the summer and in the beginning of this part of this semester, and has demonstrated numerous times her ability to successfully complete the work that would be needed. Her responsibilities would change, and so it wouldn't necessarily be adding on to the responsibilities she has as case manager. It would simply be shifting them. So I do also want to clarify that I would also like to vouch that she has the ability and time commitment to be able to do this position.
Thank you for that information. I know that a lot of people on this committee don't have the best knowledge of how the inner workings of the honor court and honor system more broadly work. So any information you can provide us is always welcome. Are there any other questions for members of the committee? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Hearing no questions, can I hear a motion to report?
Motion to report favorably by unanimous consent.
Second.
Okay, hearing no objections, congratulations, you're being reported favorably by the committee, so you'll be placed on the consent calendar. We look forward to seeing like how you do in your role going forward. So congratulations once again.
Thank you.
All right, so we will now move on with our next item of legislation. USB 104-156. This one is a rather short bill, but I'm going to go through it and present it anyways. Logan's going to kill me, but I'm adding a new title to the undergraduate code with the purpose of explaining how the judiciary works. The code doesn't explain anything at all about how the judiciary works. This is a pretty large oversight, as the old student code used to have language about it. A lot of the language in this bill is dead letter. It is not enforceable. It is simply meant to be informative. It is superseded by the instrument. I want to make that clear. And I will go through and tell you which parts of this bill are superseded by the instrument. So we'll start by going through this part, which is about the undergraduate honor system. Everything that I'm about to tell you is superseded by the instrument. I copied all of these words directly from the instrument, so they should be basically up to date. But the purpose of putting it here is so that members of Senate and of the student government more widely can learn what they need to learn about how the honor system works without having to read the entire instrument, and can be just slightly more knowledgeable about that process going forward. So pretty much right here, you have the position description for the USAG. You have the position description for the honor court chair and vice chairs. And then also for the undergraduate honor system outreach coordinator as well, are all just here. And all that language is directly copied from the instrument. These next parts are not superseded by the instrument. They are about the Solicitor General. So this basically just this is the job description for the Solicitor General, which is to just serve as legal counsel for the undergraduate student government, and to review cases. And then there's also the Office of the Undergraduate Solicitor General, which is basically all the staff that report to the Solicitor General. The next thing is the Office of Student Legal Counsel. If some of you might remember, we confirmed the first chief legal officer of the undergraduate student government in its history, as far as I'm aware. This is once again just the job description. Their job is to provide legal counsel. The job description for deputy legal officers and the office of legal counsel more broadly are also here. The last part of this bill is striking language that requires that deputy legal officers be subject to Senate confirmation. That's a requirement that was put in the code over the summer when we first resurrected the Office of Legal Counsel, and like we've since discovered that it's like a pretty onerous requirement because there just aren't going to be that many deputy legal officers, and there's no reason to make like the handful of people that are DLOs go through Senate confirmation. It's just not worth the effort, basically. So that's pretty much this bill. It is just meant to provide more information about how certain positions work in the undergraduate code. So at this time, I'll take any questions. And if there are no questions, I'll entertain motions.
Motion to suspend all necessary. Oh, go ahead.
Sure. I might have not been in this meeting when this was talked about, but could you explain a little bit more about what exactly the chief legal officer does for, well, especially in regards to like counsel and how that's decided and such?
Yeah. So the chief legal officer's job is kind of just to serve as like a legal aid clinic for undergraduate students. Anyone who files a lawsuit in the student Supreme Court or in the Board of Elections is legally entitled to have legal counsel provided to them in the form of the chief legal officer or one of their deputies. So like their job is to just serve as students' attorney in the student legal system, basically.
Okay, and that's not related to honor court. That's more when cases are brought to the student Supreme Court. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We have no relation. Okay. So.
All right, that makes sense. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Any other questions? If not,
I move to enter discussion.
Can I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we are now in discussion. Are there any points of discussions?
Would you be amenable to amending section 200 to include the phrase recruit, appoint, and train deputy solicitor generals?
Yeah, I'll take that as friendly. So just.
And I can read that again.
If you have further amendments, you can just feel free to make them.
Cool. Also renumber section 201 to section 202.
Mm-hmm.
And then add an additional section 201, which copies language from section 211 and applies it to deputy solicitor generals.
Okay.
And that's all of my amendments.
Okay. Thank you for those amendments. At this time, are there any further points of discussions? If not, is there a motion?
I move to suspend all necessary rules in order to adopt this resolution by unanimous consent.
Is
Seconded.
that
without
favorably?
prejudice, sorry.
Without prejudice. Okay. Hearing no objections, USB 104-156 will be reported without prejudice. And this brings us to our final item of business. USR 104-157. This is a constitutional amendment, very exciting, that will add viewpoint neutrality into the student constitution, as well as update references to SAFO, because SAFO doesn't exist anymore. Basically, it takes the language that is currently in the undergraduate code found in section 205 of Title V on viewpoint neutrality and inserts it directly into the Constitution. This way, there is just absolutely no question that viewpoint neutrality is the overriding legal standard by which we must disperse funds. It is already pretty much established that we have to do this, but the undergraduate code can be amended on a straight majority vote, and like that's just not something that is, and like it's kind of questionable whether or not the Constitution protects viewpoint neutrality. Just too many question marks basically for us to feel secure in viewpoint neutrality protection. So we want to insert it directly into the Constitution. Both of the treasurers support this amendment, so that's Harsh and Logan back this. And graduate students have already like reviewed this and have expressed no opposition to it. So I'll take any questions on the Constitution amendment at this time if there are any. And if not, then I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to pass favorably with unanimous consent.
I would ask that this be reported without prejudice.
All right, can I make that a friendly amendment?
I mean, it's your motion.
Yeah, then I move to report without, oh my God, I'm blanking. You know,
Without
without
prejudice?
prejudice, there we go. Goodness gracious. And by unanimous consent.
Okay, can I hear a second since this is technically a motion?
Second.
All right, and hearing no objection, this Constitution will be reported without prejudice and referred to Finance Committee so they can review it as well. That brings us to the end of our business for tonight. I do not have any notices or announcements. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Point of information, can I just make a quick announcement?
Yeah, of course.
If you were not here for roll call, but you are here, please email me so that I know to make sure to write down that you were here in my report, so you guys don't get an email about please show up to committee meetings. That's all from me. Thank you.
All right. At this time, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, the committee stands adjourned. Thank you all for taking the time to be here.